everyone, my name is Xenia, and my guest here today is the Mistress of Professional Wrestling, Renee Michelle.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
We know that you have a pretty diverse ethnic background.
Yes.
You're Native American, Indian, Cuban. And do you feel like it's important to you to manifest this in your presentation in wrestling? And on the other hand, have you ever felt like you're being fetishized for it a little bit?
From what I was told, and eventually I want to do the 23andMe or Ancestry because I'm very curious. So what I was told, what I was mixed with was Cuban, Native American, Italian, Black, Irish, Spanish, Cherokee, French, and German. On the Native side, I was told it's Cherokee and Tuhi. But, I dealt with a few weirdos. They're like, that's like, how are you mixed so much? But I'm like, well, throughout history, a lot of people are mixed. They just don't know it or don't realize it. But I do want to be able to do the 23andMe to see how accurate it is. But so far, like my brother, he was able to date back on my father's side of the family back to the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
Like mid 1700s. So where my father's side of the family came all the way from Sussex, England. So like I was like, oh snap, so we have like a whole family crest and all of that. Because majority of the men in the family done like military or government, so
and that explains a lot of moving around.
So I'm still learning more about it, and my brother, like, he was able to find more of it because I knew my great-great-grandfather, like his name, and I had his pictures and stuff, and I remember those pictures from what my grandfather showed me, before he passed. So when my brother was like very curious about it, I was able to tell him like, well, this was your great-great-grandfather, and he was able to take that information, all the information that I was able to give him, and do like a whole bunch of research. So that's how we were, and he even went to like the grave sites and everything, and the grave sites is still there, all the way in like Alabama, Tallahassee area, like the seal, like like the family crest and all of that. I'm like, oh crap, So it went from here in the U.S. all the way date back to Sussex, England. And apparently I heard like Sussex, England is like a very posh place. So maybe that explains the reason why I like tea.
I would imagine most of England is a pretty posh place.
There's some weird ones.
Wow, that's so cool that you're like so in touch with your heritage. That's really cool.
Yeah, like I don't think not too many people know, of their family history. But the fact that, my brother, he's a pretty smart cookie. Like, he was able to find family all the way back from the mid 1700s. I'm pretty proud of him.
Yeah, it's really cool. And kind of continue the topic of all this like cultural mixture. You also trained in Japan.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were the first female student to be accepted to the Marvelous Dojo.
Yes.
So how was that for you, and how does the like Joshi influence manifest in your ring
Okay, so during the time of me being over in Japan, when Chikuta Nagio, when she held a tryout in New York, we were doing everything what we needed to do, but when we had to do a promo, a lot of people don't know that I actually took Japanese when I was in college. So I never thought in
you
a
had
million...
an advantage.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but I never thought in a million years that I ever had to utilize it, because a lot of people, they take French or Spanish or whatever. So I wanted to.
Spanish.
So I wanted to challenge myself to something a little bit more difficult. But also on top of that, there's also that little kid in me that always wanted to go to Japan. Yeah. So that's the reason why I took Japanese. But it's just years later when I stumbled into wrestling and got into wrestling, and then had the opportunity, like. There. Yeah. I presented. There you go.
It's like the movies where like you learn something randomly and then suddenly it comes.
It happens. Like,
it actually happens in real life.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of my life. Like, random things always happens to me.
And what do you feel are the main differences in Japanese training in professional wrestling and American? Because you've been in American wrestling a lot, in TV wrestling, you did the storyline for WWE, you were on Dark for AEW, and also you've done a bunch of indie stuff. So what do you feel is like the main difference, or do you notice it at all?
They're very keen on respect. So for a prime example, if like, you know, here in America, like you could go to multiple schools and train at, or even schools / promotions and, you know, and train at them. But over in Japan, it's like wrestling over Japan is considered like a job. So if you were trying to do that, it's like a conflict of interest type of thing, but also is more respectful if you ask permission, you know, and that will less likely lead you to having like a bad taste in their mouth, you know, because if you talk about it, ask permission, and more than likely a lot of people, you'll be surprised that they grant that for you, you know, versus like going up and doing it and it's like,
and then everyone's unhappy.
What are you doing? And it's like a lot of people fail to realize they all talk. Like the thing is with the Japanese, you think the Japanese don't talk, but they all talk. Right? I know because I understand it. So I'm like, But also on top of it, they're very big on kayfabe. So when a lot of girls either like drop out of school or go into wrestling at a very young age, they don't see their families for months on end until they debut. You could talk to them on the phone, but when you're training, you're actually there to work, and they don't want any distractions or whatsoever. So you're strictly focused. So the day that you debut is when you actually see your parents again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it could be about 6 months, it could be 8 months, it could be a year.
That's crazy.
You know, so when you're ready to debut, it's like you're growing to a new, growing to like a new being, a new self you. So, you know, the parents are very proud and go like, oh, that's my, you know, my daughter, you know, like now she's like this woman now, you know, she matured and worked hard and everything else. And now it's like it's kind of like, if you really kind of think about it, like kind of like a Sweet 16 type of thing. If you think about it, it's like, okay, now you're into like a little bit of an adulthood.
Like a new stage in life.
Yeah, a new stage in life. You know, it's like a celebration from that when they debut.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's strange to hear for us, but I guess for them it's the...
and it's like, it's so funny because it's like the young girls, when they're training all these months on end, they don't realize that wrestling's like a work. You know, so they're like really training and everything else, and then the week
suddenly,
and then like the week we all sit down with them and we talk to them like, hey, just so you know, all this hard work and training, we know that you really want this, but just bear in mind that we're letting you know that it's pre-planned. You know, they're like, what? Like the whole world is like shattered and everything. But I actually like it that way because you can tell if they really want it or not.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about the business. Kayfabe is like a really huge thing over there. Also on top of that, like respect, like we actually wear like uniforms. So we go to like an event, we have like the jackets, we have the pants, you know, we come there representing the company. Yeah. You know, what you do in the ring, that's your own individual thing. But at the end of the day, you're representing that company. So everything that you do, say, whatever it may be, is a representation of that company and Chigusa herself.
Yeah. So let's talk about your own presentation for a little. So your gimmick and your outfits and your gear is very like feminine and very like feminine forward, I would say. Yeah. Which I think is amazing, and I think it's great that like it's almost come full circle to where women can reclaim that and where women can like reclaim their own sexuality in a way. Yeah. However, have you found that it's like harder to establish boundaries when you present yourself like that? Because I feel like a lot of fans almost see more feminine gimmicks as like an invitation to treat you like the diva wrestler, to treat you like, you know.
Well, the thing is, it's like if I was dressing very sexy, whatever, if I was going grocery shopping or anywhere in the street, it's like, it's the boundaries or self-respect. Yeah. You know, it shouldn't matter if I was like a character or just simply me just being me. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I am a woman. Yeah. You know, and I'm a female, so I expect, you know, fans or anybody else to treat one person with with respect. Yeah. It doesn't matter, my gimmick's more of like a mistress, seductress type of gimmick, but at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I am You know,
The person,
I am a
human.
woman. You know, I am somebody's daughter or granddaughter or niece. You know, whatever you want to put it. It's just, you know, you can have your little fantasies or keep it to yourself. You know, you're not impressing me. It's not. You guys are not. You know, it's not gonna get you what you want. If anything, you're just not gonna get like you're just not gonna get it.
If you're overstepping boundaries, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Because if you keep it to yourself, you get to enjoy it in your head somewhere. But if you don't, you're just
yeah.
I just feel like it's important to talk about it because
there's nothing wrong like with a woman, you know, embracing her femininity. You know, some people think like, oh, she's being like slutty or this out there because how the way she dressed. Like, no, actually, men need to learn how to behave themselves and treat women with respect just as much. You know, unless you want women to be like all doggish to you, just like how the men be doggish with the women. I think they're going to feel very uncomfortable with that. I mean, some men might like it, some men might not, you know?
I mean, there's still a power imbalance. Yeah. Like, I don't think a woman can even project that onto a man because, like, in the end of the day, the social structure just gives them the power to do it and it doesn't give us the power to do it. I feel like a lot of men feel it when other men start to treat them this way. Then they're like, oh, this is actually uncomfortable.
It's an ego. It's their ego.
Yeah.
And then when you deflate their ego, they get bent out of shape.
What else is there to say?
And a self-esteem issue within
well,
itself.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Circling back to wrestling a little bit. So you were in the Mae Young Classic.
Yes, the first Mae Young Classic.
And it was great to see you there. And do you think that it was like almost a turning point in your career? Did it get a lot more eyes on you, or did it not really change?
During the time, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a big opportunity because during that year, I also had my WWE tryout.
Yeah.
So then next thing I know, I was asked to be in the Mae Young Classic. I never thought that I would be able to be in a ring with Candice LeRae. You know, she has so many years of experience on me. I was super duper excited. Funny fact, in the middle of that match, I actually I think somewhere I nipped up, but then it's like I kind of cracked my toenail on top of that. So it's it was throbbing. It was painful. The most simplest thing, you know, you get injured on. I actually had a lot of fun. I was definitely super nervous because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then, you know, as small as Candice LeRae is, she's strong. She's strong. She's a little firecracker.
Oh, for sure. She looks like it. She seems like it.
I give her props on that, but it's I think she had 15 years of experience on me. So I was like, good Lord, you know, I gotta I wish I was more in shape and wish I was well more polished, you know, how I am now than back then. But, you know, you age like fine wine. You know, you get better with age.
Yeah. And also, we already mentioned it a little bit, when WWE did the storyline with your husband, formerly known as Drake Maverick, also known as Spud.
Yes.
So the whole storyline with the 24/7 title, and your wedding was on WWE TV. So was it challenging for you to put your personal life out there like that?
No, I'm pretty much of an open book. I'm pretty much of an open book, but I also like my privacy as well. Like the wedding situation, I really didn't mind at all. If you're asking me that agile me, I didn't mind at all. Now, if you're asking Renee Michelle Maverick,
then she was mad.
Yeah, she was mad. And I think a lot of people, they don't realize that, you know, especially with these articles, news articles and stuff. I understand that you guys want to get your clicks in your lives. You know, sorry to bust your little bubble, but Renee Michelle, the wrestler, is different than Renee person, okay? Let's get that straight. I am not the same individual, okay? But if you're asking actual Renee, I didn't mind it at all. Not at all. I'm pretty chill. But if you're asking, like you said, Renee Michelle, you know, the wife, you know, blah, blah, blah. Heck yeah, I was mad. You ruined my day. But at the same token, it's the regular me is okay, my wedding get to be on WWE. Hey,
that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. You know, I had my 80-year-old grandmother there, and she does not know anything about wrestling. She doesn't watch wrestling. She is God bless her heart. You know, she passed away this year, but at least she was able to finally see. She didn't get to see her daughter walk down the aisle. You know, her daughter didn't have a wedding, but the fact she saw me walking down the aisle in the dress, even though that she preferred white, but when she saw the red one, she's
gorgeous. I loved it.
I picked it out. Yeah, I actually had it made over in England.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. Even though it was like thrown at me at kind of like the last minute. I did not know.
Was it?
Okay, so my
Tell us, because like I'm living through all this right now, all the details.
Oh gosh, so my husband told me like, hey, like WWE like to, film our wedding, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. Didn't think nothing of it. I'm thinking it's kind of like, how Sarah Logan like.
Yeah, or they're just gonna like.
Had no idea about the whole 24/7 stuff. So, 2 hours prior to me walking down the aisle, that's when the details was brought to me. So I thought it would be like, okay, like is it the reception? No, they want to do a tour ceremony, and I'm like, okay, how I'm gonna explain this to my aunts, my uncles, and let alone my grandmother, because
normal people who are not into all of that.
Not wrestling fans. Don't watch wrestling at all. Because like James was like telling me, leaning to the side, like, I think I pissed off your grandmother. I'm like, well, why do you say that? And I looked at her, and she's just like, like that. And I'm like, oh no, honey, that's just her face. He's like, what? like yeah, that's just her face. Bear in mind she was an English teacher too, so she was one of those mean, strict English teachers, and very church-going women. So I think that would be a good conversation you can have with her. But no, like we were able to wheel her after we did an actual wedding first, and then after that, I had to wheel grandma to like cocktail hour to get away from all the chaos.
Not traumatize grandma.
Like, let's not. I don't want her to like have a heart attack, at my wedding. That would pretty much like. Can you imagine? Like, oh my God, poor grandma. Like the 24/7 stuff, and grandma had a stroke, and but yeah, so we had a few family members that were willing to stay in the crowd. Few didn't understand it, so they went with grandma and, and cocktail hour. They were ready for their drinks and food. So we filmed it like a second time, and that's when the 24, the stuff with the 24/7. What I did not realize or did not know that they were going to be on top of my wedding dress.
Oh no.
So I have a cathedral gown, and I think it was like 17, 18 feet long. It would be one thing if they were off my gown, but their asses was on my gown. So one of them, between my husband, R-Truth, or Brewer, the referee, I have a big ass black footprint on the back of my dress. And then I guess because, I was already stressed as it is, like trying to like make sure everything goes smooth. But I guess like my bridesmaids, they go like, I think Renee has her veil ripped, and I actually drew that veil, got the materials, and had it custom made. Because a lot of people don't realize when you have like the wedding veils, you put it over the baby's crib.
Oh.
That's why you've ever seen like those drawings of pictures of like the cloth and everything over the baby's crib. Yeah, you put it over that's your wedding veil that actually goes above the baby's crib. If you ever have a. I haven't really checked as of today. It's still like in the bag and everything. But I do need to go get that black footprint off the back of my dress, and R-Truth or Brewer or my husband will be paying for it.
Whoever is to blame.
Yes, whoever is to blame. One of y'all guys gotta be paying for it.
You can like match it. They can like Cinderella it.
Yeah, and then the veil, I'm really hoping that it's really not ripped, but the girls, they didn't want to tell me until like the next day because they're like, they don't want me to have like a terrible day, but I was just like, I'm tired. I'm trying to breathe. I have 2 corsets underneath the dress, let alone 2 petticoats. So it was a heavy dress, and I'm trying to breathe. And then I have all these men on top of my dress, and I'm like, I'm gonna either pass out, or because on the side there were like candles, on the side, or I'm gonna catch on fire. Yeah, one of the two. Because y'all, like, you guys are on top of my dress. It's just like, oh my God, get off of it. But yeah, that's the story.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's the story.
This might be a bit of a touchy topic, but when your husband got released from WWE, they proceeded to turn to an angle and then rehire him and then release him again.
Yeah.
So the overall question is like, how did you feel about that? And are there any hard feelings with WWE whatsoever?
No, because like, it's a job, and you also gotta realize the way of the world was going on. It's like COVID hit, and then like people were getting released from their jobs left, right, front, and center, not just WWE, but even in the world. So
normal jobs too.
Yeah, so it is the way of the world, like especially with wrestling, a lot of people have to understand the business does not owe you anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You're there to make money as much as you possibly can, and then whatever that you do with that, you know, you can either invest, which I guess some people, they do invest and make something. It could be real estate. It could be, you know, something if you're trying to transition into acting, or whatever the case may be, having your own business, you know, or I guess a lot of people, they don't save their money and just blow it. So, you know, I don't expect people to be there in that business for a long time. If they transition out of that, if they wanted to become like a manager or a referee or behind the scenes or, you know, producer, that's too. But, you know, they also have to have a clear understanding. This business does not owe you anything. You know, and life does not owe you anything.
Very true.
What you make of it is totally up to you. So. Yeah, but being better with them, absolutely not. Like, who am I to be bitter? Like, of a company or a business? It's business.
Yeah.
Work is work, you know?
Nothing personal,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's nothing personal, it's business.
Yeah. And as someone who's done appearances for both WWE and AEW, is getting signed by either of those companies a goal of yours now, or are you embracing the indie life? And, like, if either of those offer the contract, would you do it?
It depends on the money.
Sure.
Because I'm at a stage in my life where, you know, like, I do wish, you know, I was either in my teens or young 20s that I knew about wrestling and got into wrestling. I got into the world of wrestling pretty late, you know, but also me getting into wrestling pretty late, I was able to accomplish a lot. I was able to go to one country that I always wanted to go to, which is Japan. You know, I ended up having a contract over there. I love it. Japan will always be my second home. If I had an opportunity to go back again, you know, I would do it in a heartbeat, you know, for sure. Like, before I even met my husband, I was actually planning on moving to Japan. It just so happens that I met my husband and things have changed because she actually wanted me to move there and stay there. And I was all for it. And then I met my husband. But, you know, love.
Which is not a bad trait.
It's not a bad trait. Like, you know, love makes you do some things, you know. But other than that, I mean, you know, yeah.
It's whatever life brings
me in wrestling. Like, I don't have any bitter bone in my body about, like, you know, Impact, AEW, WWE. You know, I may not be their cup of tea, and that's okay. You know, like, if they need me to change, like, hey, Renee, we need you to be like this, then I'm all for it. You know, because I'm not gonna be like, well, this is me, and you can take it or leave it. Like, no, like, if I'm working for a company, whatever you want, boss, I'm a deliver.
Yeah, and it is show business, and I feel like you do have to be flexible in any kind of show business. Like
absolutely. Yeah. But, like, having, like, a bitter bone about it, it's like, for what? What I gain from it? Like, I have something to fall back on. I still have something to fall back on. Like, I don't just do wrestling. Like, I guess when people see what I have, like, on social media, they think I'm just a model or a wrestler or do, like, acting commercials and stuff like that. Like, no, I do a lot more. I just don't need to publicize it. I don't need to get the validation of others of what I do. Like, I'm a COO of a company, a government contracting company that a lot of people don't even know. Yeah. You know, but I like I said, like, I like to keep my life private. Now you guys know, but
now I just spilled this.
Yeah, now you guys know. But, you know, I've been, like, dealing with that, you know, and, like, the actual real world of, like, getting into, like, the agency and stuff, like, when I was 19 years old. Like, I'm still making dough regardless. I simply enjoy the wrestling because, you know, I develop a love and passion for it. Yeah. You know, and I was very fortunate because, you know, I remember William Regal once told me, if you want to become a wrestler, Japan is where it's at. If you want to become a sports entertainer, WWE is where it's at. And then, luckily enough, you know, AEW came about. So there's a market and niche for everyone. Like,
and it's growing too.
Yeah, and it's growing. Yeah. Like, you know, that's the great thing about, like, you know, other companies in wrestling is that everybody has a job. Yeah. You know, you could either go to Impact, you could go to AEW, you could go to WWE, you go, I mean, now, like, Ring of Honor is, like, something coming up with that with AEW. Like, there's a job for everybody. You know, it's not like everyone should be struggling. I mean, I'm hoping that everyone has something to fall back on other than just wrestling, but, you know, I'm not other people, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever life brings, we're excited for you.
Yeah.
If you have anything to plug, social media, merch, this is your time to do it.
Yeah, so you can follow me on my IG, which is Lady RM. You can also follow me on my Twitter, which is Renee Michelle.
All the links will be in the description. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
That's great. And
Yes.
I do have a parting gift for you that, full disclosure, you've already seen off camera, so
Yes,
this
I
is
did.
acting right now, but this wonderful distortion shirt that Renee gets to keep and
Yes.
cherish if she wants to. That you guys can get on xanderthat.creatorspring.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, tap the notification bell to never miss an upload, write a comment, and until next time, bye!
Bye.